Welcome to Off the Rails, episode 7 with Tone and Jems. I am Jems, that is Tone, and with us today we have a very special guest, Fire Department Chronicles.
What's going on, guys?
Philanthropist, comedian, actor, what else? Do you do anything else? Coffee connoisseur.
Yeah.
Jason Patton.
CPR instructor, expert hugger. I think, by the way, you should be starting this off with coming live to you from the plastic room.
Yeah.
Shake the plastic in the back.
This is what Jems is. They're gonna go back to this when they need to, like, when they have them in the interrogation room. They're like, listen, buddy, you weren't even trying to hide it, okay?
There's no murders in your area, man, because you're suspect number one.
So Jason, thank you for coming on, man. We really appreciate it, Actually, Jems turned me on to the Fire Department Chronicles because I am not a firefighter. Jems is a volunteer firefighter.
Fighter. I like that.
Fire. Yeah. Don't know how to talk today. It's okay. I'm just doing a podcast where I talk. No big deal. But yeah, as not even being somebody who is in that, like, realm, like, I find them hilarious. So, like, I've been binging them the last, like, 2 weeks and catching up, and they're hilarious. So I know, like, that has a pretty huge following. And I know I've listened to a couple other podcasts with you on it and kind of just did a little research. No one ever really asked you about your childhood per se, but, like, where did you start from? Where are you from? Like, where were you born? Like, what were your interests as a kid? Maybe, like.
Yeah. I remember a light and somebody screaming at me. I grew up. You're right, man. No one's asked me about that. Let's talk about it, dude. Like, this could get really deep, really fast. Yeah. Welcome to therapy.
We won't charge you though.
Yeah, great, appreciate it, man. I grew up in South Florida. I have 2 brothers. My mom and a dad and everything. I actually the area I grew up in, man, it was a decent area. I've always, from, like, a very young age, I've always been, like, the class clown, the comedian. I actually used to have really, really red curly hair that was, yeah. I remember one day I walked onto the bus. And I had taken gel and, like, stuck it up, and it was straight up. And I had this one curl that came down. I made it 2 feet on the bus, and this girl looks at me and goes, "Nice curl." I'm like, that's it. I need to shave my freaking head now. But yeah, man, I just growing up, dude, my entire family is like this comedic thing. Like, we would go to family dinners, and my dad and my uncles were going back and forth. And both my little brothers I have 2 younger brothers. They're both hysterical, just so funny. My one brother has, like, the pièce de résistance of, like, dry humor. He just, and it's like you're, like, running along, and he just drops a joke in there, and you're like, and that's every time. He just knows exactly where to drop it in, bro. Every time, man. It's really, really good.
That's hilarious. So you grew up around, like obviously that's what struck me as, obviously, not being someone who is in that realm, and kind of recently finding you was, like, you, like, everybody has that funny guy at work, but, like, you seem like you'd probably be just the funny guy no matter where you were. So so I kind of found it interesting to see, like, if that was, like, always a thing from childhood.
Yeah, from as young as I can remember. And, the humor is normally to, like, break up whatever stagnant attitude is in the room or whatever. You walk in and it's like, hey, like, just because I think a lot of times, depending on the situation, especially if there's serious conversations going on, like, you end it with, like, a little quip or, a little one liner in there, and it just lightens the mood, and people are able to move on to the next subject, that kind of thing. So yeah, I enjoy joking, and I also enjoy it back. So, I give it and I expect to receive it, kind of thing.
Do the people at your station appreciate it, or are they like, "Oh, no, Jason's on his bullshit again"?
Yeah. All the above. They, you know what? Like, as funny as I am, there's 50 or 100 other firefighters that are just as funny as I am, or, like people, that's wwhy I love first responders. Like, they're just so, you have to be, like, super fast. Like, someone says something, you got to be able to, rock back right away. So 90% of the time they're willing to, like, deal with it. That's actually why I do almost all of my own acting now. I'm the same person in every single spot, because after about a year of being like, hey, can you help me out with this video? And then people going, oh God, and like making their way out. Like eventually I was like, let me just do it and we'll be good. Like, thank you.
we can kind of relate to that. We're not that it's in person, but we were just like, we kind of had to like knock that barrier down, because we were like, you know what, we want guests. I mean, I do a lot of podcast stuff. Other than this, I like produce podcasts and stuff like that. But I don't have a name. I'm not a name brand or anything. It's not like easy for me to be like, hey, I'm Oprah. Can you want to come on my show? Like, so me and Jems were like, you know what, we really want to talk to some people. So we were like, you know what, let's just go shoot. So we're like, let's go figure out people we like and let's go see if we can contact them. That's part of the reason why we contacted you. Obviously, Jem's a big fan, and now you got another big fan. I'm great. So like for us, like we were just like, you know, let's go shoot it out. Let's try to have these conversations, because we enjoy a lot of this stuff. And
that's a smart way to do it, right? Yeah. Like, I think a lot of people have a lot of fear when it comes to content or creating something new or whatever. They're like, what if it fails? Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Like that's the way it goes, right? Like, so I mean, putting it out there is sometimes difficult, but you know, your failures you will have multiple failures in your life. Like, that's just the way it's going to go. And most of the time, as long as you don't stop, they're always going to be followed up by some kind of success. So no, that's great, man. And I mean, it sounds like you guys have had some pretty solid people on here so far. So you guys,
yeah. I mean, surprisingly, I mean, none of the people we've had on have that little button that you have behind your shoulder, but so you're the first one of those.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man, that was when I started this. It was one of those things where I said, I'm never going to get that. Like, that's exactly, I was like, I'll never make it on YouTube. It's too hard. And just, bro, I have got to be 50 or 60 videos out, maybe 70 videos. Like, it just took time, and it eventually started rolling. And that's a big thing. Like, just keep putting content out, keep putting podcasts out, keep doing it. Because you think some things don't catch on. What really there was 2 videos that shot it over. One, how firefighters eat. That thing had like 500,000 views, and then within a month had 4.5 million views.
Wow! Right? Is that just people sharing throughout different platforms and stuff?
Bro, I'd love to tell you I had any.
You're just saying, like, I have no.
I call it the loop. Like, you got a video out there that's doing fine, and then it's like, and it explodes, and you're like, what the hell happened? You're like, oh, it's in China, and like that, and then it's like, and then it's like, you just see all these different comments coming down. The best thing you can do in general for like views, in my opinion, is get people to comment negative things. It's the best thing in the world, because these trolls out there, they love it. And they go out there, they start commenting all these negative things, and then one guy feeds off another guy. But what they don't realize is that when they comment that, it shows the video to all their friends. So I'm like, thanks, guys.
and it's engagement, which is part of the algorithm.
The algorithm's like, fuck it up, bro. Let's go. It's great.
They're like, oh, you don't like him? Cool. We're just showing everybody.
Go to your mom. So great job.
You just said something that just kind of is going to let me take this off the rails. You said it hit China, and I just thought for the first time ever, and I don't, Jems, is this what you were thinking?
No, I don't know what you're thinking.
But sometimes we just think we're both left-handed. Are you left-handed or right-handed, by the way?
I'm right-handed.
Okay, well, we're both lefties. We always ask everybody. It's just random. But you said that firefighters in China, and I was like, I've never thought of China having firefighters in my brain. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, obviously they do, but I've never thought about it. Like,
tonight he's going to be cutting up the potatoes for dinner going, holy shit, firefighters in China.
I mean, obviously there are firefighters in China. I just never thought of them. You know what I'm saying?
Do yourself a favor, bro. Google some of the stuff that they do in China and Japan and all that stuff. It's insane. Like, obviously firefighters are the same no matter where you go. No matter what language they speak, it is the same. Like 10 people in every station, no matter what. And I know Jems can 100% relate to that, dude. Like, doesn't matter. But the stuff that they do for competitions and stuff over there in Europe in general is insane. They do this ladder thing, like they take like a roof ladder or I think it's a roof ladder. So they run up, like hook it onto a window, then run up and then get up, put their legs.
Oh, dude, I saw a video of that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Not a chance in hell that I would do that. Not 0% chance. Like, it's crazy.
I'm afraid of heights, so I don't think I could do your driver's job anyway.
I'm afraid of dying, and that's what I'm not doing.
Well, I thought I saw a video that said you guys don't ventilate in Florida. So, like, if you're a Florida firefighter, you don't have to go on the roof.
This is true. I don't know if we don't ventilate. There are some people around here that do, but most departments around this area, they don't ventilate. Not that, like, my department, I've never been taught that. We go over it in case it needs to happen at some point in time, but it's kind of that last ditch effort. So you can't, it just really depends on the situation, kind of thing.
You think that's just, is there a lot of new builds down there where everything just burns up in like 3 minutes?
Everything in Florida, or at least in southern Florida, after Hurricane Andrew, it's CBS structure. Like, the fires are ultra hot. They burn fast because and it's mainly room and contents. But when those room and contents catch, I mean, there's nowhere for the heat to go. So it just bounces back on itself, and it's really, really hot. So yeah, it burns fast. It burns really, really fast.
I got another random question. I was going to derail this conversation off the rails again. So we were my kids. I thought another thing. I was doing e-learning with my kids today, and everything they teach them now, not even close to what they taught us. Like, different ways to do math. Is stop, drop, and roll still a thing? That's still. Dude, that hasn't changed, right?
First off, that was a waste of time. We'll just start.
Okay.
Core math. I don't understand how that even became something. I don't get it. Like, at what point in time did someone say, like, "Hey, look at this. You see, this takes 2 minutes, but this takes 90. Like, what? We should do that one." Like, oh, okay. But
well, the best part is it's hard to change anything, but let alone like somebody actually gave that pitch, and so there was other people that were like, makes sense.
Yeah, I don't get it, man. No, stop, drop, and roll is a thing. We still talk to kids about it. We still, like, when we go to schools and we do PSAs and everything, yeah, well, of course, we still talk to the kids and teach them how to stop, drop, and roll. In theory, it should work, right? You're on fire, you roll into some dirt that helps smother the fire a little bit, you're fine, you're good to go. The big joke is, like, you're in school, you learn it every year, and every adult is like, you'd think by now I would have caught on fire like 6 or 7 times by the way that it's going in my head. And just no, not gonna happen.
we have a buddy who he's a comedian, stand-up comedian. His name's Brant Tobler. He still has never done drugs because of the DARE program. So
really,
he has the DARE certificate hanging up in his podcast studio.
That's
he talks about it on stage. He's like. Nope, took an oath. Can't.
Holy shit. How old is that guy?
He's 44, 43.
Good for. I was gonna say, like, one day he was just gonna fall off the wagon and be like funneling drugs in his
Well, ironically enough, so he's never been on Joe. He's been on a lot of big podcasts, but he's never been on Joe Rogan. So his pitch to do Joe Rogan is, I will do mushrooms for the first time on Joe Rogan.
Yes.
So yeah. So
if I was Joe Rogan, I would accept that.
Yeah, right. So Joe Rogan, if you're Joe Rogan, I know you listen to the podcast. I mean,
oh my god,
there's an idea for you.
Yeah, the Joe Rogan thing, man. That's again, I think it's like, besides there's 2 podcasts that I've wanted to be on. Off the Rails.
Yes.
And then Joe Rogan would be the next one.
I'm glad we can make one of those dreams come true.
Dream makers here.
I think you do great on Joe Rogan, by the way. I mean, it seems like you have a lot of different diverse interests, which is usually those go to the guests that typically do pretty well.
I don't even know how to make that happen. Like, what the funny part is it's like when you hear about Joe Rogan's podcast and stuff, his guests, they're very open about the fact that it doesn't matter. You could have 2 followers on Instagram or 80 million. Like, he doesn't care. If you're good to talk to, then he's going to talk to you, kind of thing. So, yeah, maybe one day. If you guys, since you said I'm just phone calls.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm like 2, like that. If we're doing the Kevin Bacon scale, I'm like 3 degrees of separation. Because like my buddy Brant did have dinner with Joe Rogan because he's in the comedy scene. He's done, like, he's nationally touring. But he tells a story about how he's like, yeah, he's like, I sat down with Joe Rogan, and it was like after a UFC event, and there was a bunch of other comedians, and he was like, we were just talking, and he's like, I tried to talk to him about pool, and I know shit about pool, and he's like, I just felt like it's complete dumb. So like, yeah.
Stipe Miocic, the UFC heavyweight champion, we did that coffee with him. He's been he's been on Joe Rogan. Yeah, I mean, and it's just cool, man. He just seems like a cool dude. I don't do any drugs, but you know what? I'll do mushrooms too.
That's the sales pitch to get on JRE is I will do mushrooms for the first time if I can come on.
You know what the worst part is I'll sit there and he'll slide me a bag of mushrooms across and be like, let's go. I'll be like, I'm gonna get fired. But
you'll be like, fired. Yeah, that's wild. I have a tendency of dominating these conversations for some reason because I just like to talk and I'm quick. So I want to make sure that I let Jems.
He's saying I'm slow.
Oh, I thought you meant between you and I was like, this is great, bro. This guy.
I hate myself. We always listen. I listen back to the podcast and I'm like, damn, I talk too much. So I'm gonna. So if you ever hear this weird like silence, it's just because I'm trying to let Jems get in there because I know Jems has a lot of great insight and I just like just steamroll him. Like
weird, man.
So, I heard on a different podcast you were a mechanic before you were a firefighter and paramedic. Yeah. When did you always want to be in the first responder field, or did it just kind of happen and you're like, well, I'm done fixing cars today, I'm gonna go save a life?
Yes, I was like Forrest Gump. I'm going home, and then I just walked back to my no, I actually I hated working on cars, right? I got into cars because my father was a mechanic. He was a mechanic, made his way up. He was general manager of a huge dealership. And he actually told me not to get into being a mechanic. He said, it's not a fun field. It's not good. At least, not for what we wanted. And I sucked at it. I was horrible. I was one of the worst mechanics I think ever. I don't have enough patience to unless I figure out the diagnosis right then. Like that's what's great about firefighting and EMS. It's kind of like you figure it out, but if you can't figure it out, you drive very fast. The people who can figure it out. So when I got into, and I didn't have a passion, so I didn't enjoy it the way I should have. A buddy of mine reached out to me, we were at a party or something like that, and he's like, yo, I just finished EMT school, man, you should try this out. And I was like, all right, whatever. So I tried it out and I loved it, man. EMT school was awesome. It was challenging. It made me think differently about stuff. I enjoyed learning about body systems, like just how insane our body is in general. I learned about something called collateral blood flow. Like if you can't get blood flow to a certain part, it creates a different way to get it. I'm like, what? How is that? How? And then I passed EMT school and then went into paramedic school. Again, loved it, and in fire school, and it was just never looked back from there.
So did you have to get on with the department before you went to these schools, or did you pay for the schools yourself and were like, I have all these certs, I hire me?
That's exactly how it goes, yeah. I don't know, you're up north?
Yeah, I'm in northwest Indiana. I'm if you know Notre Dame, South Bend, about 20 minutes from there.
Okay. I'm in Colorado, so.
You're in Colorado? I'm coming to Colorado one day, by the way.
Nice.
Real quick, do you go to FDIC? I seen one video where do you go there every year?
Yes, we'll be there if Kobe doesn't shut it down again. We'll be there again. We're gonna have a booth and everything. So nice. With Fire Farmer Coffee, but yeah, man. What was the question? I forgot where we were at.
We were talking about your search.
Did you have to get on with a?
Oh yes. So that's my brain. Just mouse on and then. Yes, down here you need to get your certifications first, at least EMT and fire, depending on where you're at. Some fire schools actually require you to be EMT certified before you can even go into fire school. But you need at least those two certifications, then you can apply to your neighboring departments or whatever. Most places down here, because unfortunately 85 to 90% of all our callers are going to be EMS, you have to at least have a medic, but most places are going to be, firefighter, EMT, and then get your medic once you're hired kind of thing.
Do you guys have many volunteer stations down there, or is it pretty residential where it's mostly paid?
Where I'm at, South Florida, not a lot. There's one actually in my response area, which is funny. But otherwise, outside of that, there's only one, maybe two other volley departments that I know of in the area. There may be more, but I haven't heard of them. You go a little farther north into Florida, you'll find some more volley districts. But nothing like you going to like other states and stuff, or New York, where there's entire sections. I mean, I never had an appreciation for volley departments until I went to Illinois. Amboy, Illinois is the area. I go up there and speak every year. Very cool, man. This is one of the coolest departments I've really been to, man. I mean, they have Humvees, like 2 Humvees. They have it's insane. I'm pretty sure last time I talked to them, they were getting a helicopter. Like, it's just we don't got to pay for people, man. Buy whatever you want.
Right.
It's very cool, man. They treat their people well. They do a really good job, and they had a volunteer ambulance, which I had never experienced. I thought everyone, at least in the EMTs and paramedics, were all paid. No, there's volley ambulances, and it was just so cool to see that kind of stuff.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, we run medical calls, but most of us are EMRs, which is like 2. I guess they told us it's 2 skills below getting your EMT. Okay. But they don't just offer like those 2 extra skills. So like to get my EMT, I would have to go. I was like, this is stupid. Now I got to take the entire same class again, but for 2 extra skills.
That's ridiculous. Well, we could figure out to write with this pen, but no, sorry, you got to take this whole class.
Right. But like, we don't have an ambulance at our department, but we go there in our rescue. But
yeah, that's the first place I've ever seen that had that kind of volley, and it was cool, man. I watched it happen, dude. I forget what I was doing. I was walking back to the station to get my car, and I see these people pull up in their car, and they jump in the ambulance, and they're like, got a chest pain. Take off. I'm like, oh shit. It was really cool.
I kind of want to know more. Like, are they just like BLS, or do they do can they transport, or are they just kind of?
I don't know. I want to say they can transport, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that.
You would think so, rather than just getting there and be like, we have this ambulance, but we kind of just have to wait for it.
Come on in.
You can hang out here when the other one comes. No, that whole world it fascinates me. I'm a big there's not much, like, obviously I already said I'm afraid of heights. Like, most of the natural elements I kind of scare me a little bit. Fire, I've always been fascinated by, though. Like, yeah. I mean, I almost set my house on fire when I was 5, though, so that's probably why. I just like to. This is gonna go along with Jems's plastic wall back behind him. I just liked it when I was 5 to strike the matches, smell them real quick, and then put them out on a bath mat in our bathroom, which doesn't seem like a great idea when you think about it now. But yeah, so I started a little fire, and so yeah. But ever since then, I was just like, fire's kind of cool, but obviously it's super dangerous, because that's why you guys are.
Most things that are cool are dangerous. That's right? Like, fire is cool, man. Fire is like, it's just so fascinating. Like, obviously the huge destructive power, but without it, we might not be where we are today. Society and humanity and that kind of thing. But in general, it is cool, man, because you learn so much about fire and how it's not, just as simple as you run in with the hose and put it out. I mean, you have to be able to read fire and read smoke and understand, what kind of smoke is coming out of that building. What's in the building, like what's within that smoke. Are you going to take one breath and die? Like, that kind of stuff. So that's why, you're supposed to wear your protective gear and everything. But, it's crazy, man, to when you learn about these things and the way things operate in the fire field, man, it's insanity.
Well, it's funny because I was listening to one of the podcasts. I think it was one you were on with like it was a different type of firefighter. I guess it was like some agricultural fire. And he was like, you said something about, like you were talking about going into something and somebody opened a door and it creates a draft. And I never even thought about that kind of stuff. You're like, oh yeah, the wind.
Yeah, backdraft. Yeah, backdraft. Yeah. The whole movie Backdraft is about that. Like, that's why you have to be able to read smoke and understand if the smoke is puffing out, it's not coming out in a charged fashion. Then the smoke is being starved for oxygen, and the fire is being starved for oxygen. So if you open that door and you feed it,
might as well put like gasoline on a fire, basically.
It's literally, it's missing. So there's this thing called a fire triangle, or like fire tetrahedron now, and if it's missing any of those points, right? So a heat, fuel, and an oxygen source. If it's missing that oxygen, or it's lacking in it, it's going to start dying down. But the second, everything in there is charged and ready to go, and the second it gets that extra link, you got a bomb, and thanks for playing.
Damn, that's good.
Yeah.
That is wild.
So do you switch what truck you were on, or are you strictly on the ambulance or strictly on the suppression or the engineer?
I've actually, I'm a field training officer for all of our new paramedics and stuff that come on. So I'm mainly supposed to be on the ambulance. But lately I'm a step up driver engineer. So I've been driving the engine we have an aerial truck as well. I've been driving those almost every shift. So it's been amazing. It's been,
I got a random question for you because, it kind of goes. It's kind of a twofold question. So my work, Jems knows where I work. I'll tell you afterwards. It's not a big deal. But I'm not allowed to say where I work at, which is, I think, absolutely stupid social media stuff. But I do drive a somewhat big delivery truck.
Wow.
How big are the typical fire trucks? Like I know they're pretty big. I mean, I know what.
Yeah.
We drive anywhere between 26 and I think it's like a 18-footer.
I want to say like the average height is, depending on the units, 14 feet, 18 feet. Don't quote me on that. But weight wise, it's tons. It's ridiculous. Yeah. The ladder truck that we had, I want to say was 25 tons. So they're huge. They're just
the length of them too. I think a lot of people don't realize, like, just even trying to maneuver those things, especially in certain cities, I'm sure is a pain.
Yeah, no, it is, man. And the units seem to be getting higher and higher. Like right now, I'm 6'2", and I have to like hold on to something all over my head in order to pull myself up. Like they're just getting bigger and bigger. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Yeah, but some of those trucks, you're like man, and then like I've seen everybody get out. I'm like, that thing is like a clown car, man. There's like, it seems like
yeah. I mean, that's a very good description. So
it's a big clown car, but it's still a clown car.
Yo, if you go up north, you go to like I don't know about his department, but you go to like New York, Chicago, Detroit, stuff like that. Depending or out in Chicago. What is it called? California. I mean, you got 5-6 people on one unit, like, depending on the size of it. I mean, it's huge. You got a tiller truck, you got someone in the back driving. Like, I mean, they're huge, man. So it's cool. It is.
So our old engine would seat, I think, 7 or 8. But then when they got the new one, probably like 5 years ago, it's just a 4-seater now because being volunteer, like the responses of people went down, or like by the time people get there, the engine's already taken off, so they got a 4-seater. We're getting a new one here pretty soon. We get a new engine like every 5 years, which is wonderful.
Yeah. Ours can seat 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then we have one. 5 I think is the maximum amount. We may have one that can seat 6, but for the most part, it's 4 or 5.
Right, but like in our area, we have 2 hydrants, and we cover over 100 miles. So like tanker operations are huge. So like it's important for us to get the tanker there.
Oh, there's 2 things that I am very glad that I never had to deal with in Florida. It's tanker operations, at least in my response area. In some areas, you may need that. And I never have to defrost a hydrant ever. Never. That
would be something here for sure.
I'm a hydrant in Florida. Why am I at work? The world is.
Yeah, you're like, nope. This is they don't need me. No, but the second part of my question, because just interested of like you having to drive those things is so I was thinking about it when you're talking about going into houses and stuff. There's a lot that most typical people probably don't even think about when it comes to like what you need to probably know like for your job. So obviously, like for me, like I need to I have to know. I take all these driving courses because I have to drive the dang car, even though it has nothing to do with like really what my job is, but I guess it does. And then like for you, like do you guys like have to do like any kind of training about like going like what's in a residential build, like as far as like what's in the walls, what's in like certain things like that? Is that like something you guys have to do training wise to like know that kind of stuff?
Yeah, during when he and I went to school, that you go through building construction to understand different types of building layouts, the way they're constructed. There's 5 different types of building construction, stuff like that. Roof constructions are really, really important to understand what's going on, especially if you're doing roof operations. Understand the pitch and why you're getting up there, so on and so forth, and how to do it properly. I mean there is that's why I love where I work, or I love in general people that are dual certified, because they have to know just a huge gamut of stuff. But it's very cool to see departments where they are just firefighters. They are just an engine crew. They are just truckies. They are just, because those guys, they learn a set of skills and they are freaking experts at it. They're perfect. You need to know how to breach doors, what kind of doors you can breach, what do metal frames look like, inward swinging doors, outward swinging doors. Like, these are all things you have to know.
Man, yeah. So yeah, it's even that I would have never even thought. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. And kind of knowing the construction of typical things. It's
fun. Wild. It's cool, man. Dude, again, you get into this business because you want to save lives, but I think you stay in the business because it's just an endless amount of knowledge. You're constantly learning. You're constantly being challenged. And no structure fire is the same. There's always something different. Someone's trapped in a back room, or they have a huge amount of fire load in there. They've been storing gas cans for the last 30 years because they hustle every night. Like, dude, you're like, what?
Bullets everywhere.
We actually, one of the craziest, it wasn't a close call, but it could have been a close call kind of thing. Fought a fire. It was a shed fire. It's a shed that's like the size of a small room. It's huge. So we get in there. We're doing it, blowing out the roof of this shed. We knock it down pretty fast. Takes us about 10 minutes to put this fire out completely, 15 minutes, because there's just so much fire load in this thing. It's got like 10 gas cans, 2 lawn mowers, just all the paint, all these things, right? So we finally put this thing out. It's hot as crap because of the fire that's burning in there. And it actually burnt my knuckles through my gloves. It was crazy. So we put it out and we walk away and we're talking to someone, and the chief's like, yo, come here for a second. And he goes, is that where you guys were standing? Where we were standing, there was 2 propane tanks underneath our feet. Like, we were loud. We were like, holy crap, man, we almost died, bro. And the way I imagined that would have went, we would have been like, this is up. Hey, where are we? We're like in pieces everywhere.
Right, dude. That is crazy. Yeah, because it's kind of like what I was having this conversation. I don't know if you've noticed yet. I think really strangely, but as far as I was just having this conversation with my wife the other day. I was like, it's weird how fragile we are as human beings. I was like I have this layer of muscle and skin, but really if you poked me with something this, you could just puncture my lung and probably kill me. I could fall and hit my head and die. You're really not that durable. I mean, we have a 3-year-old, so it's sometimes I watch him trip and fall, and they're like, man, we are pretty resilient, but I can breathe, but if you put me underwater, nope, not good. So and then all that kind of stuff. You're like, I could jump a small distance and be fine, but if you just push me off a 44-floor building, not good.
But that's the crazy thing, bro, is that in this field, you see that actually goes on both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah,
we are outrageously frail, and if you get in a car accident and the car hits right, you can literally rip your heart off your aorta and bleed to death. I mean, you're dead within 2 seconds. We had a guy the other day. He was taking a catfish out of the water, and it moved, and one of the barbs went through his ribs and punctured his lung. Catfish, insane. But on the other side of that, I've been on calls where people were shot 10 times and lived. I've seen people get hit by cars. They are obliterated. Everything is broken. And, a year later, they're walking. You're like, how is this happening right now? So, it definitely goes on both sides of the spectrum. It's insanity.
It's wild. Yeah, it's wild just being a human. You're like, oh, okay. And then watching what you guys do, it's you're like, yeah. There's so much and I'm sure you see it. I know we have a paramedic friend. He doesn't do it anymore, but he was telling us and this maybe I took a completely wrong term, but basically he was telling me about how this dude basically lost. They had to I guess it's called gloving. He had his hand and they had to put it back on. And he was it's so weird. You're like, what the? You're like, that shouldn't even make.
Yeah, it's called gloving. It removes when you remove all the skin. Yeah,
it was wild. I'm like, this is wild, man.
We get a picture of it at my real job. I'll have to take a picture next time I see it and send it to you, Tone.
Yeah, it's wild. You're just but it goes back. It goes back. Okay, that's.
There's not. Well, first off, you don't just slide it back.
No, obviously not. But,
all right, man, have a great day.
But the fact that you can just lose it and it can be sitting over here, and then you're over here, and then it's back on you somehow, and I
tell you, man, you see stuff. And I don't care how long you're in this field. you get over it. It's fast, but you still see stuff to this day. I still do. And I walk in and I'll see like a guy, bro, craziest call. We had a guy in the feet or like a sheet metal company. He accidentally cuts his arm, but it comes in like his arm is severed off. And we're like, we show up, it's fine, little laceration, not a big deal. Get him in the ambulance. We're in the ambulance. Someone starts banging on the door. We open it up. They're like, we got another one. We're like, what do you mean another one? Like, this isn't buy one, get one. So we so I go back inside. This dude had his hand, it was a sheet metal press, and it went right inside. And his hand is still in the press. His fingers are crushed, all three of them. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, oh no! In my head, outside, I'm like, okay, buddy. We pull his hand out, and he's like, ah, man, that's not good, is it? I'm like, what the fuck?
Dude, yeah, I don't know how people do. Yeah. I mean, that's what it's like being a parent. Like, you watch a kid, and you're like, oh no, you're fine, buddy. And you're like, I don't know, you're like, yeah, dude. I can imagine you see some stuff. I mean,
it's crazy, man. But I mean, it's part of the job, you know.
That kind of leads me to one of the questions I wanted to make sure I asked. You're in Florida, so do you have any like Florida man stories, or like is that a real thing? Like,
I mean, it's just constant, you know. You just there's always something crazy. When Flocka, I don't know if Flocka was up there, but when Flocka was coming out as this drug, we're like, I'm telling you, bro, I don't care what anyone says. Flocka transported people to a different universe because they all said the same thing. They all said the same thing, no matter what. They were all like, they're all naked. Start with that, and they were all being chased by wolves. How are they all being chased by wolves? They don't know each other. So like it's every time we pull up, they're like, like losing their mind, naked, running around. You give them a sedative and they're good to go. They're happy. But yeah, there's always someone shoving someone. There's something in their butt, and you know.
Fair enough. I mean,
pretty standard. You go on enough of those, and you're like, all right, buddy, I get it.
You're like it's cool, man. I was in a frat too. You know what I'm saying? Dude, no, that is wild. So I did want to like talk a lot about you know, obviously your two FDCs. You got your fire department Chronicles and your fire department Coffee. So the Chronicles, that just I heard a little bit about you explaining. You kind of just did it to kind of break up the time, and then it kind of just led to this. And then as far as like for you, this kind of is where I want to start it. As in your childhood was like were you like a jock in school? Were you like the drama kid? Were you like what were you just like get through school kind of? Yeah. Because I know for me, like I mentioned it on our last podcast, like I was like I was a top level baseball player. Me and Jems both played baseball. But like I was also like the president of the art club, and like I was in plays and shit, and like that was weird back then. Like, I mean, I'm 37. I think Jems is 32 or 30.
I'll be 31 soon.
30, something like that. So like,
when were you born? What month?
Me?
Yeah,
January. I'm May.
When were you born?
April 27th.
All right, that was my due. I think that was the due date, and then I hung around for 2 weeks.
Just cozy.
I came on Mother's Day. I was like,
Mom, yeah.
Yeah. So that makes sense. I mean, yeah.
You didn't even know you're an asshole. You not only put your mom through all that on Mother's Day, but you took her day because now it's your birthday. Like now, like you don't even get Mother's Day. It's my birthday, Mom. Like,
it's terrible because it's like Mother's Day is like I think it's like every second Sunday or something like that. So it's like every like 4 or 5 years it falls on Mother's Day, and like now with my wife, I'm like, let's just not even celebrate my birthday. I don't want to.
Smart move. Smart move, man.
I don't need it. It's fine. No. Yeah. So it's like, but yeah. So that's because these videos are like very much like. I mean, I don't know how much of them are scripted and how much you pre-plan like writing everything out or ad lib, but like they're really well done and they're really like and I think for me like because I do a lot of editing of video and stuff. like even the edits and stuff from like so start to finish. Like I look at all that kind of stuff, and they're well done from start to finish. Like from the acting, from the actual content to the edits and how they keep people engaged. Like, and you don't get a lot of time with these videos. People are like on to the next one. You know what I mean? So you gotta catch them. Yeah.
Yeah. It's insane.
Yeah, you got to pull them in, or else they're like, yeah.
It's crazy. You look at analytics, bro. It's like 100,000 3-second views. Then you go to 10 second, it's like 20,000. Like, you're like, Jesus Christ. Like,
I always so the analytics on some of these podcasts make no sense sometimes, because it'll be like 50,000, and then it'll be like 20,000, and then like in the middle it'll be like 30,000. You're like, how the fuck did you come back? Like that doesn't make sense. Like you just were like fast forward.
Fast forward. That's exactly.
You're like, I'm gonna start this podcast at 30 minutes.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. I started it all, man. Just messing around, bro. That was it. Just having a good time, bro. And then, I just realized that I enjoyed doing it. There was, the expansion of it, the creation, all the editing, everything, it just grew more and more over time. The more I wanted to increase the production values and all that stuff, it had to evolve over time. So, but, to this day, I can honestly say some of my highest performing videos are done on my phone, with the phone editing program. Like the large productions where I want to portray a lot of information or have a high production value to make people want to watch and stay engaged. Those are huge. Like the fire department coffee videos, those have, we have production crews and stuff. But like this mental health video that I just did, we had a production crew. I do all the editing and all that stuff, but they come in at least for those, and then I do the editing after. So. Well,
you said you did some of your highest performing on phones. Are you an Android or an Apple guy?
Apple, bro.
Okay, I'm an Android guy. I was just saying, I do all my stuff on the phone too. Just
Jems, why even?
Hey, we have one of these moments every episode. This dude said he took macaroni and cheese for pizza in the pizza draft last time. We almost had to kick him off the show. It was weird, but no, it's amazing though what you can do with a little thing that fits in your hand. It's more than a phone anymore.
You and I are old enough, and so is Jems. We're old enough to understand how crazy that actually is.
Yeah.
My phone shoots in 4K. Like I can shoot, edit, upload everything, and it's the same. It's the same as 90% of the videos that are out there. Yeah. Obviously, there's some production value, but dude, if you upload that kind of stuff to Premiere Pro, mess with some of the color grading and stuff, you have a great video. Like you're good to go. And I mean, I remember where I needed a phone, a camera, and then my iPod that stored all my shitty music that I ripped off of, some app or some store or something like that. So
LimeWire.
We're big music guys too. So do you want to tell us your top 3 bands just while we're on it? What are your favorite 3 bands?
Oh God,
you put them on the spot.
Well, it's like rock and stuff. 36 Crazy Fists. I don't know if you ever heard of them, but they're 36 Crazy Fists. I love them. I saw them in concert. It was incredible. I have such an eclectic taste. I love Bruno Mars, man. I think he's freaking awesome. And then
that's how we are too.
Yeah, I've been rocking out to Christmas music lately. Just killing it, man. Just classics, bro. Just rocking out.
That's the one I can't do. I can't do Christmas music.
Really, man? I just I pop it in. I just rock, man.
My wife's been Christmas music since November 1st, so I can do it. But
everyone is trying to fast forward 2020. That's what's going on.
That's what it is. Yeah.
They're like, get this done. No, that kind of actually brings up something else. So 2020, obviously, we were dealing with COVID and all this kind of the weirdness of every year that you've ever had in all in one. I don't think anyone could have ever expected all this crazy stuff. I know I see a lot of paramedics and stuff. Do you guys have to wear the full face shields? Like you look like a doctor hopping out the back and all that kind of stuff now? It's weird because you're seeing somebody and they're like, I deliver for a living. I can say that much, but I'll be at a grocery store and you'll just see some dude and their paramedics roll up and he's back and they're 6 feet away and they're like, are you okay? And you're like, it's this weirdest interaction to watch. You're like, what the hell is going on? What the hell?
It's odd, man. And it really depends on your area, what's going on, what your local protocols are and stuff. But for the most part, a minimum is an N95 mask, gloves, that kind of thing. people have said it, dude, and I hope this isn't true, but gloves came in because of HIV, that kind of stuff coming up. So gloves became a standard, and they never stopped after that. So I'm wondering if this is going to be the beginning of the mask era forever. So, and I can tell you, man, wearing those things, the N95 style masks that we have to wear, wearing those things for more than 30 minutes, and you're like, this is horrible. So I can't imagine what nurses go through 14 hours and wearing that thing on their face. Like, I'm good, bro. I am good.
I think of the long-term, like, evolution of things. Cause certain things that have just come around as like as either a beauty thing or whatever, like has changed how we look as people. I'm like, man, I wonder if like wearing these masks, if it does become a regular thing, like for a long term, like, are we going to have better lungs? Are we going to like have like big, stronger lungs, weaker lungs? Like, are we going to be like, who knows? Like from
actual evolution takes, millions of years.
Yeah. No.
Like, hey, you never know, bro. We come back a million years from now, you might be like, oh my God.
Hey, man, I'm just trying to get gills in my neck. I think that's
here's what's gonna happen. Everyone's gonna be freaking barrel chested.
Yeah.
From like the expansion of trying to. So that's it. Nothing exciting.
Yeah. No, it's like, oh, that's not good. No, but yeah, it's funny because people are like, oh, we'll always just be like that Wall-E movie. We'll just be sitting in chairs and our consciousness will go there. And you're like, you never know anymore, but yeah, sure. I guess.
Yeah, I highly doubt it, but hey, you never know.
Like I still move around all the time. I don't know.
That's funny.
So you being in Florida, and Fire Department Coffee is Rockford. It's based out of Rockford, Illinois.
Yeah.
How did you like link up with those guys? Like,
so I made a video. I started Fire Department Chronicles. I made a video about coffee in general, how I was going to stop. Because when hurricanes hit, they put a bunch of us in a fire station together. And I said that coffee was going to stop us from murdering each other. And somebody tagged Fire Department Coffee. So Luke, the CEO, reached out to me and he was like, hey, man, let's start doing some stuff together. Started representing Fire Department. He sent me the coffee first because I was like, let me try this, make sure it's not junk. So I tried it and I was like, this is awesome. So we started working together, started doing videos, that kind of thing, promoting. And, Luke and I got along in our thought processes were so similar that we actually, I'm now the vice president. I'm co-owner of it, or I own a portion of it. And it's been incredible, man. And we give back 10% of all net proceeds to helping sick and injured first responders. So, it's just, awesome. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that when we did it right and everyone got their high quality coffee and everything.
Heck yeah, that's a win-win. I was actually just looking at the website the other day, and I was like, man, you do this thing where I guess like you do a subscription. You just basically get shit. And so I was like telling my wife, I was like, I know it's Christmas, so I'm not going to ask for anything. Okay, listen, but like January, I think I'm going to get a subscription because I got 2 coffee cups right here. I'll go 2 coffee cups through this podcast. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not going to be like anybody else. I'm not going to ask for a discount, but I'm going to tell you that when I get it, I'm going to talk about it on the show just for the hell of it.
Well, I'll tell you, if you use code Jason, code Patton, you get 15% off. So
all right.
Yeah. The subscription is cool. You can do a subscription program where they send you X amount of coffee each month, or you can do coffee of the month program where we send you a different kind of coffee every month. Ethiopian and a Brazilian. Like it's cool. It's cool stuff.
Yeah. So just so you know, I'm definitely getting a subscription, but I'm definitely going to just talk about your coffee because we talk about coffee all the time on here anyway. So we'll shoot you customers as we grow.
I get it.
But I really do love the fact that you give back, and then also I think it was one of the podcasts I was listening to. My dad was almost 30 years in the Navy, so like I know you have like I think it's called like Shellback or
Shellback Espresso. The CEO is actually he's a veteran, a Navy veteran.
Yeah.
So we wanted to pay some homage to our Navy brothers and sisters, and made our Shellback, which is awesome, dude. Love the bag. I love everything about it.
Yeah, and I actually learned something from you explaining that in that thing was and I called my dad and I was like, hey, is this true? And he was like, yep, that's true. Yeah, I had no clue. That as that they had to do some firefighting elements to.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until we started talking about it. And he's like, yeah, everyone who comes in has to be a firefighter, or at least trained as a firefighter.
Yeah.
I believe they have a specific crew that's like the heavy guys, but everybody has to understand firefighting tactics. And it makes sense, bro, because you're on your home. And if you're in the middle of nowhere, you better not let it burn down. So,
right. Yeah, I found that fascinating. I was like, that is a very neat thing for sure.
And let me tell you something, bro. The last place that you want to do firefighting tactics is shipboard firefighting. It is a shit show. It takes what do you call it, basement fires, and makes it even worse. And then you throw the fact that you are in a metal box. So no heat escaping everywhere. It's coming right at you, and it's coming hard. So not fun.
Yeah, I bet. And I bet you even like the confinements of like those freaking places. I mean, I've done I don't know how many cruises. Like not I wasn't on them, but like they do these tiger cruises where you take your kids out, and like as like an 8-year-old, I'm like hitting my knees on the fucking rails. I'm like, like how are we doing this as like an adult?
Dude, I tell you, crazy. I couldn't imagine, man. No way.
So it's wild. But I did want to ask while we're on the coffee subject. I saw that you have alcohol infused coffee.
Yeah,
that seems dope. Is also awesome.
It's cool. Yeah, it's fun, man. We got Irish whiskey infused, bourbon infused, tequila infused, and rum infused as well. Actually, we just we don't have it anymore right now, but it was a cherry bourbon infused. It was so dark cherry bourbon. It was so good, man. And then we're actually coming out with a vanilla bean rum, I believe it is. Or vanilla bean bourbon, sorry. It's going to be really, really good. But we infused it before the roasting process, infused the beans with it, then we roast it. It actually roasts off the alcohol content, but it keeps the aroma and the flavor and the balance of coffee and spirits. I tell you, it really is good, man. No alcohol. It's safe for work, that kind of thing. But you know, you want to freak your boss out, bro. Just brew up a pot of that stuff. You did a good job. And then
they're like, this guy, well, automatic drug test for you. Go ahead. Like, that's crazy. So do you guys use so I used to work in the wine business and alcohol business, and I know there's a couple big companies. Do you work with like a certain big company to like use their specific ones, or do you like for tequila you're going with one person, for whiskey you're going for someone, like is that just partnerships for them?
Egan's Irish Whiskey is who we use for our Irish whiskey. Great small batch Irish whiskey company out of Ireland, man. They're incredible, really like good high quality. Yeah, they're very, very cool, man. We love working with them. No, we have no other partnerships. I am all up in the Rock's DMs right now, trying to get that tarot. You know, I mean,
heck yeah, man. I mean, why not? That's goes back to what we said earlier. You never know unless you ask, right? Like, I mean,
I'll be on Joe Rogan's podcast before that happens. So.
Yeah, I'm sure The Rock is reading his DMs for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
On his cheat days while he's eating 7,000 cookies.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the compliment. Yeah.
No. I think you never know though. I mean, you say that and like it's like funny because you're like, I would have probably been like, if Jems showed me your thing, like, because we were talking about how many followers there are, and if he would have said like, I'm gonna reach out to someone, so I'd be like, yeah, he probably doesn't read his. So.
I actually read every single legit. I just go through it and like read. If it needs a response, I respond. You know, if people say thank you, I say thank you back, that kind of thing. For that, no matter how many followers I get, I'll always attempt to do that kind of stuff because I think it's the right thing. I think that's what we should be doing. You know.
I think it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Like I wrote down the numbers of your followers on the different platforms. So it's super impressive for you to respond to things. 755,000 on Facebook, 255,000 on Instagram, 124,000 on YouTube, and 430,000 on TikTok.
Thanks. Got the kid. In with the kids. Yeah. TikTok.
Yeah. TikTok's great, actually. Like I refused to get on it for the longest time, but like I sit.
I would say you may have inspired us to get on TikTok. I literally was listening to podcasts all week, and I was like, "Do we need a TikTok, Joe?"
I sit in the train for 12 hours, so like, easy to just scroll through TikTok to kill time.
Bro, let me tell you, you will go through the biggest emotional roller coaster going through TikTok than any other app because you go from someone you're like, holy shit. That is the most talented piece of content I have ever seen. Like that took them hours. Immediately next to the next one, where you're like, "You're an idiot. Like, why do you have a phone?" Like, I mean, it's that gamut, and it's just that roller coaster the entire time. But you come across some people where you're like, TikTok gave people the ability to record add stuff, do layers, and edit everything in one app. So it truly allowed people to be able to like create some amazing content, man. It's super cool.
All right, so we do this draft with everybody. Obviously, you're the second person, so not everybody, but everybody from going forward. Everybody going forward, we're going to do this draft. We know you like comedy, so we're going to do a stand-up comedy draft. 5 rounds. We'll speed through it, but you can just you get to pick. It's a snake draft, so if you take the first pick, you get the 6th pick. If you take the second pick, you get the 5th pick. Say okay. third, fourth. So we always let our guests pick where they draft. So, do you want first, second, or third?
Let's go second.
All right, sweet. That sounds good. Jems, I'll let you take your pick of where you want.
Well, I'll let you pick this time since last time I chose where I picked.
I'm going to pick 3 then because that way I get the wrap.
Okay, so I will start off, and I want Bert Kreischer. He's my favorite.
I love Bert Kreischer. All right.
So I just pick whatever I want.
Yeah.
I actually, I'm a huge fan. Bill Burr is who.
Bill Burr.
Yeah. Bill Burr should play you in a movie.
Yeah.
Or I should play Bill Burr in a movie.
Oh,
there you go.
I like it. So you guys took 2 of my top ones, but all right. I'm gonna take Tom Segura because I like Tom Segura.
Tom Segura is good. I like him.
So then I'm gonna wrap it with, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's got a good online presence. He's super hilarious. Andrew Schultz. I don't know if you guys have seen him. He's got some good online videos. You'll laugh.
That's awesome, dude. I tell you, like, Jim Carrey's one of my favorites from back in the day, bro. Like, I've always loved Jim Carrey, just everything about him. And dude, I don't know why, man, but Kevin Hart kills me, man. He kills me, dude. And he's just so good. It's just hard because you get those guys who are just so up there.
Yeah.
And then you're like, nah. But I can't. And like, I'm so actually, dude, speaking of it, so one person that absolutely had me crying, laughing, I almost wrecked my car. It was bad. Joe Rogan, bro. Joe Rogan had me. It was his, it was this whole like bit on him, like, jerking off when he goes into a hotel room and like he's like, you got 2 choices here, man. Like, jerking off your hotel room, you can either just blow it on your stomach and you can alligator roll and then go back to sleep, or and I'm like, dude, that's like that's just so funny to me, man. I was dying, bro. It's so good, man. He did a bit about the bees and how you can't steal the bee's honey, man. He works for it. He's like, that bee doesn't give a shit. He's like, you know how long a bee lives? A week. And then goes to this entire thing. I'm like, dude, it's so good, man.
Joe Rogan's great. Yeah, you can't beat Joe Rogan. Is that who you're taking? You taking Joe?
Yeah, I'm gonna go Joe. Yeah.
All right, that's a solid pick, man.
Back to me.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so he just put out like an Instagram video. I mean, he's got a ton of stand-up and he had his own show, but he just put out a video like a couple weeks ago that was really kind of telling about like the Chappelle show, like how Comedy Central kind of fucked him on money and stuff there. So I like Dave Chappelle.
Dave Chappelle, yeah.
That's a legit one. That's I had him top of my list too, by the way, and I totally just skipped him. I don't know why, because I'm an idiot.
And also, I watched Bumping Mics on Netflix not too long ago. I thought that was hilarious. And Dave Attell.
Like
Dave Attell.
That's a solid pick.
Thanks. I'm doing better than the pizza draft.
Yeah, you are doing better than pizza draft, for sure. I'm probably doing worse than the pizza draft. So back to you, sir.
I gotta say, it's a duel. It's 2 guys, but
we'll give it to you.
These guys, their skits are incredible. They're so funny. They run the gamut of humor from one side to the other. Key and Peele.
Oh, dude, that's great. We actually want Keegan Michael Key on the show because we're both Lions fans and he's a Giants fan. So
you get Keegan on there.
We're hoping. I don't know. I can't contact him because his DMs are closed. But I'm gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen.
Yeah, dude, they're so good, man. Yeah.
Hey, there's great skits too. So oh man, damn, I don't even know. I like. I'm gonna add the first female comic on here. I'm gonna take Nikki Glazer. I don't know if you're familiar with her. Absolutely hilarious, and she's she talks about some weird shit, but it's absolutely funny. Always makes me laugh every time. I'm gonna take a clean comic, just because I don't think anyone else on here is clean. But Brian Regan, have you got?
Yeah, Brian Regan's good. Yeah. I think Brian Regan is very good.
Yeah,
baseball skit or spelling skit, whatever it was, bro, was so good about. God, what was he talking about with? The plural thing. It was him, right? That was talking about like what's the plural for box? He's like he just got through oxen. He's like boxing.
yeah. The fact that it's so hard to be clean and funny, I think, and that's why my homage to you, because you are PG-13 and all your stuff, but it's still
thank you.
So.
After you retire, are you gonna put out like things I actually said?
Yeah, I might. Yeah, I might.
What's that? You're gonna go full Danny Tanner?
Yeah, dude. No, absolutely. I watched the stand-up comedy from him when I was like 23, and I was like, "What is wrong with this guy, man?" You can just tell he just had 20 years of shit shoved out in there, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go do a stand-up tour. Every other word's gonna be fuck. Like that's the entire thing, and it's like, dude, relax, man. Like,
I always like to think of the people that showed up, because I knew he was dirty before, like, but the people who showed up, they're like, "We're gonna go see Danny Tanner." And you're like, "Oh, what the fuck?"
Oh my God,
shell shocked.
Not okay.
Oh man. Well, sir, you got your fourth pick.
I'm gonna do a throwback, bro.
Okay.
Some people might not appreciate this, but Dane Cook. Dane Cook was.
Can't go wrong with it. Go wrong.
Grew up with him, man. Loved it, bro. His bits were, he was so different than everybody else. He was at one point in time, I think, one of the highest paid comedians ever.
Yeah. Until his brother stole all his money, or his dad or somebody.
Yeah, and I just appreciated what this guy, like, what he would say, and I appreciated his comedy. And then I heard when he came back, because he was having some issues and stuff. Like, I just, like, in general, like, he was good, man. And then he also put out something that I loved, and it was all about content. I listened to him on the comedian. I think you guys just talked about the guy who always is shirtless. And
Kreischer.
Kreischer. Love that guy. It was so funny, man. His Russian thing about
the machine.
Yeah, the machine. Yes, the machine. Like, it's he had him on his podcast, and Dane Cook talked about it. He's like, bro, when I was first starting up, I would just slam content out there. Content. And eventually it caught, man. And I remember driving back and forth to my buddy's college, listening to his bits about, like, how does a bee kill you? I gotta say, a flying horse. Like, I love that, man. He's just so good, dude.
Yeah. And he was really the first guy who did like the content thing, like as a constant, like,
yes,
I'm gonna overload it, and then we're just gonna see what catches, and then boom, boom, boom. And
he said he was on Xbox or whatever it was, Xbox or something, in the beginning of those platforms where they had where you could talk shit to people.
Yeah,
he would do that. He would talk shit to the people, but bring up his show. Hey, screw you, bro! I'm killing you. By the way, you want to come talk crap? Come to my show, and people would show up, man. Like, genius. He was very smart.
Very good advertiser. Very good.
Yeah, very good.
It's a solid pick. I always forget about Dane Cook, but
I know he's good though.
Early 2010s, probably. I was like, or late. Yeah, that's probably about the wheelhouse there. That was huge. I remember going to visit my girlfriend at the time at Ball State, and I stopped at Best Buy. This is like going back, because Best Buys are still around, but you don't use them. And I was like, I need something to listen to in the car.
Yeah,
I was going through stuff, and I was like, "Oh, Dane Cook stand up." So I bought like 3 CDs. And
yeah. Now you don't even need CDs. No. All right, Jems, you're gonna finish this out with your fourth pick, and then start the last round.
Okay, so I'm gonna go a couple local guys. Although, does Chris Farley count as a stand-up comedian?
Yeah, he did stand up.
I think so. Yeah. Okay, so Chris Farley is probably one of my favorite for sure, and he's pretty local to me, actually. Like, I drive by the one of the high schools he got kicked out of every day. And then I'll roll it back with another clean comic, Jim Gaffigan.
Oh, that's
good.
Went to that same high school that Chris Farley was at. Obviously different times, I believe, but like
That's a
We
solid.
got a powerhouse up here for comedians, I guess.
Yeah, it's a comedy school up there. All right, so we're on to your last pick. You got a solid roster: Bill Burr, Joe Rogan, Key and Peele, and Dane Cook. Who's for your final act, sir?
I'm gonna do a as if they partnered up.
Okay.
Mitch Hedberg,
Okay.
right?
Damn, how did
him and Richard Pryor, two completely different styles, man, but just like Richard Pryor comes in with just the pizzazz, and then Mitch just throws in that dry comedy joke to finish it off, dude. I think that would blow it out of the water.
Well, I don't know how I missed either of those guys. I'm an idiot, but damn. So since I've already lost this draft to Jason, I'm going to go with one of my favorite comedians. He has a good buddy, and I mentioned him earlier in the show. Free shout out to Brant Tobler. If you don't know who Brant Tobler is, check him out. He's absolutely fucking hilarious.
Oh, Brant Tobler, that guy's hysterical.
Brant Tobler, he is.
Yeah, I think I pissed my pants one time listening to one of his bits, man. He's good, bro.
I bet it. He likes to shit his pants. So that makes sense. But so yeah, so that was that's our second total draft ever. Jason, thank you for coming on. Where can people find you? Want to make sure people can find you.
Absolutely, I appreciate you guys letting me come on, man. Facebook, Instagram, you can, what do you call it? YouTube, TikTok, all that fun stuff. If you want the coffee, firedepartmentcoffee.com, or you can Google it. Head on there, Jason, 15% off, and come check out what we got going on.
Heck yeah, man. And we'll have to have you back sometime. I definitely have a zillion other questions. We love having you on and talking the questions. Jem, I'll let you finish this and close it out, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on a lot. That was fun. That went as great as I assumed it would. Probably even better than I thought it would. Yeah, we appreciate your time and keep up the good work. I can't wait for the next video to come out. I do have one quick story. So I was looking through all your videos and was like, I wonder if I can relate to any of these. You have an open mic one, and I believe the tagline is, I hope this doesn't happen to me. Me and one of my good buddies were headed to a brush fire, and nobody stops for fire trucks. Nobody. We could not cross the highway with lights, sirens, everything. We couldn't cross. And we had went en route with county. I threw the mic in the cup holder and didn't think anything of it. So we're sitting here trying to cross, and my buddy works midnights, and he's like, these motherfuckers, blah, blah, blah. He's just going on and on and on and on. And I have an Apple Watch, and I'm trying to cross the highway, and I look, and I was like, oh, one of the other guys is calling me. I was like, if he wanted to know about this call, he should have showed up. Like, what is he? So I hang up, or I hit the decline button, and we're still my buddy Dan's still going off on all these cars. Like, you stupid fucks. Like, let me cross the road. Well, then he calls back, so I hand Dan the phone, and I just hear open mic.
Jeez.
So,
oh my God.
Yeah, and we drove by our battalion chief's house on the way there, and he's like, what are you guys doing? Like, I was like, should we stop? And he's like, no, let's go get yelled at afterwards.
Well, that's an awesome way to end this, man. Well, thank you for coming on. Thanks for everybody listening, and check us out. Check out Fire Department Chronicles, Fire Department Coffee, and everything this man does. It's hilarious. So
appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week.